Bureaucrat grade 36 Hermes Conrad takes great pride in his work as Planet Express's official bureaucrat. So when the central bureaucracy sends notice of impending inspection, he's excited to show off his skills in hope of promotion. However, that night after he leaves, Leela's former co-workers from her old cryogenics job come to the company offices for a friendly poker game with Leela and the others. Bender cleans house until they realize he's using X-ray glasses to cheat. Afraid of the impending beating he's about to receive, Bender retreats into Hermes' office but is quickly found and a scuffle ensues. The next morning, Hermes comes into work to prepare for his meeting with the inspector, only to find his office completely trashed, and there's no time to fix it. Inspector Morgan Proctor, bureaucrat grade 19, has arrived and she is displeased. Hermes is demoted and placed on leave, with Morgan nominating herself as his temporary replacement. Morgan immediately sets about her work, running Planet Express with brutal efficiency and a strict code of decorum. However, when she discovers how much of a slob Fry is, she reveals to him that she has a fetish for filth, and the two of them start an affair. However, they must keep it secret as a bureaucrat of Morgan's level is forbidden from fraternizing with her subordinates. While the rest of Planet Express chafes under Morgan's management, for Morgan and Fry, things go well until Bender discovers their secret. When he threatens to reveal it, Morgan quickly downloads his mind to a floppy disk and sends him off to the central bureaucracy for filing, never to be seen again. Fry tells the others what happened and they rush off to the central bureaucracy to save Bender's brain. They quickly get lost in the labyrinthine maze of regulations and red tape, but eventually find their way to the master in pile. But the unsorted mass of forms and documents is overwhelming, far too massive for only a few people to sort through within a human lifetime. It is then that Morgan arrives and threatens to have them removed from their premises, but just as all hope seems lost, who should appear but Hermes, back from his vacation. He petitions bureaucrat number 1.0 for an emergency sort and file, which the head bureaucrat approves on the condition that Hermes do it himself and finish before closing time. Cracking his knuckles, Hermes gets to work, flexing his legendary skills and finishing with only 1 second to spare. Bender is back to normal, and within the chaos, Hermes happened to find something else of note, a mistake Morgan made years ago. A minor slight, but enough for number 1.0 to have her taken away. Hermes, meanwhile, is restored to his original rank and job, with the newfound confidence to continue doing his best at the work he loves. Welcome to Space Podcast 3000, where the future is in the past.
So the Planet Express crew playing poker, huh?
Yeah, why would you have a robot participate in that?
My question is, why is it the glasses that are X-ray and not Bender himself?
Yeah, it seems odd that he would even need any glasses to do that sort of thing.
Good question. Personally, I'm more put out by the fact that they're playing 5-card stud, which is easily the worst version of poker. Like, there's actual strategy in something like, I don't know, Texas Hold'em, as opposed to 5-card stud, which is just almost entirely luck.
Well, and this was 2000, I believe the whole, because Texas Hold'em got this huge resurgence in the mid-2000s. And so this was, right on the cusp of right before that became incredibly popular. So I'm guessing just it was shorthand for the time because 5-card is just the standard poker game. Because before that, anything like video poker, any of that, it was all 5-card stud or 5-card draw.
Fair enough. It is, easily the most iconic variant of the game. It's just, it kind of sucks.
Okay, but who convinced Zoidberg it was strip poker?
I think he just lost his shirt.
Yeah, he lost his shirt. He literally lost his shirt.
Yeah, there's almost like that stereotype of, I don't have any chips left, so I'm gonna, bet my car or my whatever or my shirt. Although in this scene, we've got Billy West voicing Ipji, and I mean, I kind of have sort of a similar problem here to Hank Azaria voicing Apu. For much the same reason. Just because we have a white guy voicing this Indian character and doing an extremely stereotyped accent. And it's just a little uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If it was just the character is Indian, it's one thing, but doing a stereotypical accent makes it pretty yikes.
Yeah, right? I mean, it was probably less controversial than Apu because, I mean, A, Futurama isn't really as famous as The Simpsons, and B, Ipji is such a minor character compared to Apu.
Yeah, he's a very, very minor character. I don't even know how many episodes he's in.
I think the pilot, this, and one other later, but I think that's it. But still, it's a little uncomfortable.
But he does foreshadow a major plot of this episode, talking about office romances.
Yeah, true. That I didn't even notice that.
That was a good joke, Howard, because like normally it's like I keep my work and home life separate, and of course he does it the other way as well. Like his wife knows nothing about work. She's like, damn.
She doesn't even know he has a job, apparently.
So where does she think he goes during the day?
I don't know. Maybe she thinks he goes to the library or something.
Maybe she thinks he's on dialysis.
But yeah, man, there are a lot of really good jokes in this episode. Like, I love Hermes flipping the close sign to opening soon and then open. Like, how does it have 3 sides?
It's the same way it works in Harry Potter, 3 sides of paper. Anything is possible now that scientists have invented magic. But yeah, there is something really endearing about someone who has a really tedious and boring job, but they enjoy it and they're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, do what you're good at.
Yeah, because I'm reminded of what was this? I almost want to say Deuce Bigelow. Like before he was a gigolo, he cleaned aquariums. And it's like, it's a terrible job, but he was good at it. He clearly cares about the fish that he's taking care of.
I mean, I don't even know who that is.
Old Rob Schneider comedy. Guy ends up becoming a male gigolo.
Rob Schneider.
In order to earn back some money. But it's fairly innocuous because he ends up dating all the, like, undateable women. And he still makes them feel good by just, like, treating them nicely and being kind to them.
Rob Schneider. That explains why I'm not familiar with it. I'm not really a fan of him.
Yeah, you do kind of need to appreciate his comedy to like them. I've seen it like once. It's fine.
Hang on, I'm getting a phone call.
Okay.
You did not properly file to receive a phone call.
Sorry about that. I'll have to cut this out. Anyway, yeah, that I'm gonna cut. It happens.
But yeah,
So yeah,
poor Hermes, just in this whole episode.
Yeah, that really they really do. I like Hermes enough, and he really does not deserve to be treated that way.
No, like
all he's doing, because this is a weird kind of thing where it's like, yeah, he's kind of the problem, but he's also the solution at the same time, which I guess is just bureaucrats trying to justify their own existence. But he's only there because they need someone to help them navigate all this bureaucratic red tape.
Yeah, he's there to help the business run smoothly.
Yeah, well, not only that, but it's like, if the bureaucracy doesn't approve of their work, they can't do what they do. Every company needs to abide by these things. But then, of course, you have this sort of underlying joke that the bureaucrats are putting all this stuff in place just to make it that they need a bureaucrat in order to navigate it. So it's a self-fulfilling... They're just trying to justify their own existence.
I mean, it's intergalactic delivery. That's kind of a big thing in general. It might require bureaucratic intervention.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a lot of regulations involved.
Mm-hmm. Don't want to start some Star Wars here.
Oh, absolutely not. And of course Morgan comes in and poor Hermes is left so shaken he can't even do his catchphrase right. He's just sweet something of someplace. I feel so bad for him.
And this is absolutely not his fault at all. It was just Bender breaking everything up, and like, yeah.
Exactly. And speaking of Morgan, how do we feel about her?
I thought she was hilarious. Like, this is just that pure needle turn. Is that, just that pure heel turn duality between her. Is like, she's this strict bureaucrat that is absolutely turned on by filth.
She's really entertaining.
Yeah,
She
and
is.
it makes sense, honestly, if you're so ensconced in a situation, then being in the complete opposite situation would be
Enticing?
not necessarily enticing. Well, it would be uncomfortable, or it would be awkward, but it would certainly be different, and it would be shocking. And there's like, if you're playing Call of Cthulhu, whenever you encounter a situation that really does something incurable to your character, you can develop either a phobia or a philia for it, and it can go either way.
Yeah, I just personally don't understand Morgan's filth fetish, but to an extent, I'm kind of a neat freak. Like, everything's always got to be really organized, or I just can't function.
Which is understandable, but like, again, that's the sort of thing. It's so different from what she's used to. That's what's so endearing. That's what she finds so intriguing about it.
No, I get it. It's just I just don't understand it.
Trying to understand kinks is a fool's errand.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
I'm not very organized, but there's certain filth, like the hat yogurt, that would disgust me.
Yeah,
Ugh.
if you've ever, that's happened to me once or twice, and that's really kind of a red flag. It's like,
Hat
no,
yogurt?
not specifically a hat, but I have left out a cup of milk for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah. Why? Although, like,
because I forgot about it. I placed it on a shelf when I was doing something else, and I just ended up forgetting about it.
Ugh.
My stuff never gets to that point.
Honestly, though, Fry's response, like her asking why, he's just like, well, it used to be milk and time makes fools of us all. That doesn't answer the question. Why was there milk in the cap?
Exactly, that's a joke.
How would you even put milk in a cap without it running out the hole?
Or soaking into it.
Yeah, it's just like
doing that magician thing where you pour milk into the hat and it disappears.
Just, it doesn't answer the question. And, of course, this follows, Morgan doing a locker check and Leela describing it like high school. I don't think they ever had locker checks at my high school. What about you guys?
I don't think so.
No, that never happened. That never happened to me. I went to a private school, though, so I don't know if that would make a difference. Honestly, I think that would be more common in private schools.
You'd think.
It might be more common now, with there's so many things going on in schools.
Oh, possibly, but like...
Yeah, definitely not, maybe not in the 2000s. Right, I guess maybe it's a different thing in New York, or... Probably in New York, it'd probably be fairly common with the whole public school thing. That they don't even name the schools, they're just numbers.
Yeah, at most we had, scheduled clean-out days at the end of the semesters.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, what I'm thinking, though, possibly is... So, this was written by adult writers, and I imagine they would have been out of school for, a decade or more by the time they were working on this.
True.
So it might have just been a thing when they were in school.
That is also quite possible.
Just kind of like how even in the 90s, the stereotypes of cartoons in school was just something straight out of the 50s or 60s still.
Right, yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, I love how everyone being really frustrated at Morgan leads into probably one of my favorite jokes in the entire show. Just Bender's, is she behind me? No, I'm in front of you. It doesn't even make that much sense, but it's executed so well, and I love this gag so much.
It's a really common, it's such a common joke. So she's behind me, isn't she? Like, yeah, which is, it's such a cliche to have in these things. So subverting it in that way, but not just subverting it, but subverting it in such a simple way that Bender would be oblivious enough to start talking about her, not only when she's in the room, but right in front of him.
And probably would keep going, honestly. Bender would say that sort of thing to your face.
Oh yeah, he would, absolutely. So the state of Fry's apartment, I just... Pardon my language, but how the fuck can he live like that?
Well, if you're too busy from work or you're too tired from work to do anything once you get home, you just kind of come home and you know you need to do it, but it's like you don't want to do it. It's like, how would you get away with it? Because like he's got to get back to work every day and he doesn't have the time to clean it up. I could understand it getting out of, especially with someone like him that clearly is not motivated to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, he definitely does have time, considering all the times that we see his characters outside of work doing stuff. But, like, I just don't understand how someone can be comfortable in that kind of environment with that level of filth.
Yeah, just trash and stuff.
It happens slowly, honestly. Although, I will comment that if you don't know that the owls are a common pest, that is a hilarious... it's a hilarious scene because you have an owl stuck in a spider web. It's like, what the fuck?
It's a great sight gag.
Which is even funnier if you think that it's just an owl, but like in this world, owls are kind of the equivalent of pigeons. They're just these little common pests. But
there's no... Then again, there might be larger spiders in the future. But for now, there's only the Goliath bird eater, which doesn't really eat birds to begin with. It can, but it doesn't usually.
Yeah, as Jason Pargin put it, the fact that it can eat a bird is the most important thing you need to know about it. He also joked that it's called the Goliath fucking bird-eating spider by anyone who's ever seen one.
It probably doesn't have very strong venom, though.
Still.
Yeah. That's the thing with a lot of venomous critters. Bigger ones have less potent venom. Because you could just crush your prey to
they don't
death.
need it. They're strong enough to just wreck them.
Yep.
So let's talk about robotic Bender, I suppose.
I am Bender. Please insert girder.
Yes, that one. I love how Fry's immediately like, we've got to get Bender back, and Amy's just like, why? And then silence, and Leela's just like, those arguments aside.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, good question.
He's like, he's a terrible robot. No, he's a terrible friend.
Hey, at least acknowledging it.
He still deserves to have his own mind, even if he is a terrible, terrible person.
Oh, absolutely.
Debatably, I mean, he is a robot, but like, why would you need that's something that's always kind of, again, I'm sure that's part of the joke, but why would you need an entire robot just to bend girders for construction? I can understand needing a machine for that, but why would you need an autonomous robot with the personality and everything?
I guess that, yeah, I mean, I assume that's just the joke.
Because they have all these robots for very specific jobs, but they create them to do everything. It's kind of like that butter robot from Rick and Morty. It's like, what is my purpose? That you pass butter. And it's like I was given sentience and a mind just to do that.
I mean, it's like a lot of the robot masters in Mega Man.
I mean, gives you someone to talk to.
You're not supposed to be talking, you're supposed to be working. Yeah, perhaps maybe it's supposed to be sort of a treatise of like the human condition. It's like you are destined for great things, but you're forced to do this one thing until you die.
That's capitalism, baby.
Yay.
Oh, we're back on that again.
Anyway, so the central bureaucracy, I guess, sort of the big showpiece, set piece of this episode,
which is obviously I have not seen Brazil, but I'm almost certain that this is a reference to Brazil because it's such an iconic and such an influential sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it's a great riff on Brazil, and I'm not so keen on Terry Gilliam these days after everything he said last year in particular, but Brazil is still an undeniable classic. If you do either you need context of what the deal is there, or
yes,
should
please.
we just move on?
I haven't even heard of it.
Okay, so last year Gilliam gave an interview to promote his new movie, and it was really bad. Comments include, people work so hard to be offended now, it's not fun anymore. when you have power, you don't take responsibility for abusing others. You
Oh no, I
enjoy the
meant
power.
context regarding the movie.
No. Yeah. So it's sort of a parody of weird, complex red tape and bureaucracy. Sort of the same sort of thing that this episode was doing, but played for more serious dystopian, just with that comedic overtone.
Mm.
And it's like, what if like just trying to file a form was a Lord of the Rings level like adventure that you had to go on just to do something?
Pretty much.
Kind of makes me think, maybe not to that level. Well, certainly not to that level, but when bullying became, like, actually illegal in New Jersey, it honestly became harder to report stuff. Because, now you gotta fill out a form, you gotta put down what was said, who the person was, which is really difficult because, people who bully you aren't necessarily gonna be someone you know. It's just...
There's also the way that they will likely escalate after the report.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, just the way like on that regard, the way we handle bullying in schools is infuriating, especially when you have like zero tolerance policies where you get the exact same punishment for being the victim of a fight as starting it because they just don't care.
They're basically saying, okay, if you are getting the exact same punishment for whether you fight back or not, break his fucking nose.
Yeah, basically that's the ultimate result of it. And also, like, all you're going to end up doing is teaching them that they can't or shouldn't go to authority figures or even adults for help. You're basically telling these kids, you cannot trust us.
You cannot trust us, or in the case of, forms, it's just going to be too difficult to bother.
Yeah.
And then once you do, even if you do follow everything correctly, they don't do anything. It's like, okay, your form has been received. And it's like, okay, are you going to do anything about this? Oh, well, we need to get clearance on some of this. Well, fuck you. Do something about this.
Yeah, like, I genuinely struggle to imagine how we could handle bullying in schools any worse than we already do. Like, if we were intentionally trying to do it as badly as possible, how would it look any different than it does now?
Yeah, I maybe, like, outwardly encouraging it, like, making it a game. It's like, you get this many points for beating up this many kids.
God damn it. Anyway, I do love the joke of the central bureaucracy. Just so much great humor comes from them. Like, on the outside of the building, you have, like, established 2159 AD, license pending. More than 840 years to issue a business license? That is a hell of a bureaucracy.
Excuse me a second.
How long are we going to be waiting in line? I'm still waiting on my birth certificate.
Oh yeah, remember that old man for later.
Oh, so does he make it through, or is he still stuck there?
We'll get there. Because if I remember correctly, he reappears in one of the Comedy Central episodes.
Ah. And then someone has a baby.
Yeah, so they'll have to move back.
Like
Which is
Woodstock.
it's just kind of a play on another joke that I've heard. It's like, how could it move any slower? It's like, the only way it can move slower is if it's moving backward. Like, that literally happens. It's like, how could traffic get any worse? The only way the traffic can get any worse is if it starts going backwards. It's like, yeah, is that could be happening in the future? You gotta looking behind him on the freeway. Yeah, I'm still going backwards. You gotta try going the other way. Maybe I'll get there sooner.
Yeah, I've been in some bad traffic where walking would be faster.
Mm-hmm. I remember when we were watching this, TZ, you pointed out that scene where it looked like it was a fantasy dungeon and there was a beholder in it.
Yeah. And then the beholder just happens to be another bureaucrat.
That's cute. Just, you can tell that the people making this show are just enthusiastic geeks with a lot of love for this sort of stuff, and the D&D, all the Star Trek knowledge.
Oh, absolutely, because they've been given an opportunity to share their love for these things with a national audience. They're going to take advantage of that,
without a doubt.
Though honestly, bureaucracy really feels like this sometimes.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Like, it's obviously exaggerated, of course, but
Yeah.
it's hard trying to make changes when the process is so slow.
I have been trying to get my insurance to approve my transition. They'll pay for it. I just have so much red tape to deal with.
I recently had to file my my business license, and I filed it last month. And they say you have to allow a certain amount of time to process, and I still have not gotten back what I need. So I'm waiting for my letter to come back for the damn cutoff date, and I had to have it notarized and everything. I need to find a notary, and of course this is happening during a pandemic, so I can't actually call them or ask them online what the hell's going on, because only one location is actively working for this sort of thing. So like, if you're holding us to this sort of higher standard that you're not holding yourselves to, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then having certain conditions and dealing with doctors can be a pain.
Oy. Honestly, dealing with like anything if you have ADHD is just made even more of a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, if you do it wrong, you could do everything completely right, and they still take forever to get back to you, and you don't know if you did it right or not. You're like reading the form 6 times, making sure you got everything correct on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's why most forms, have a checkbox where like it clarifies everything on this form is correct to the best of my ability. To allow for a little bit of wiggle room in case you do misremember something or there's something you don't know. At least every official form I've ever filled out has had that wording.
But also, spending like 18 or was it 20 months trying to get a surgery done only to have it canceled at the very end because you're overweight and the doctor doesn't work in hospitals, only the surgical centers, and that if you're at risk, you have to do it in a hospital for the anesthesiology.
I'm sorry, a surgery canceled because you were overweight? What the absolute fuck?
Because you're considered at risk. So,
Ugh.
and it's a fucking...
I know, I can see that happening, because if they can't get in there, and it could be a physical thing, it could also be an issue with recovery.
Yeah.
That it can just be deemed, but then of course you could run into the issue that you were describing, where they just wouldn't work at a hospital or something, or they wouldn't work at a surgical center.
Yeah.
I mean, but I would think not being able to get the surgery is, an even greater risk, depending on what it is.
Eye surgery, kind of like eye lifting.
Oh.
It's not something like emergency, but still, it's just frustrating.
No, I understand that. So, to lighten the mood a bit, I love number 1.0. Just all of his dialogue is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got quite a good number of memes from this episode, especially the "I'm gonna jump, do a flip."
Guards, bring me the forms I need to fill out to have her taken away.
You are technically correct, the best kind of correct.
I have seen so many people quote that line unironically when it's a joke in the episode. The joke is at his expense. The entire episode is making fun of that kind of thinking.
Well, I've seen a lot of people share it ironically as well. It's like, you are technically correct, you're the best kind of correct, but this is all just a joke. We're not really saying that you have a point. It's just saying that, yeah, you're correct, but still fuck you.
I mean, I guess that does depend a bit on the context, but I have seen so many people say it, like, unironically. It's just, ugh.
It's like, this is not D&D, this is Call of Cthulhu. It's like, fuck you. Or, this is Pathfinders. Is there a term for that? Like, when you say you have a D&D game, even though you're playing Pathfinder, because people know what D&D is.
Yes,
like, they know it's people sitting down at a table in like a role-playing game, but
playing so many indie systems, I'm just like begging for the term tabletop RPG or TTRPG for short to enter the popular lexicon, because I'm so tired of saying playing D&D when I'm not playing D&D.
Right?
There has to be a term for that. I want to say it's synecdoche, but that's not quite correct. Where you substitute something that's more well known, even though it's kind of in that same vein.
I'm not sure if there's a word for it, but it is an extremely frustrating situation.
Mm.
In the end, though, can we all agree Hermes' song is a fucking bop?
Yeah.
I love... my favorite part is when they're able to integrate Bender's line into that.
Yes.
I kind of feel like that was the entire lead up to that joke. Like that was might have been the entire purpose they put that song in, honestly.
Or crafted his specific line for it.
True. Although that's a hard one to rhyme anyway. He poo-pooed my electric Frankfurter.
I mean, that's a pretty funny line, just out of context, let's be real. Or even just the concept of an electric Frankfurter is inherently pretty silly.
What would that even be? Just like...
I don't know.
Aside from maybe self-heating.
Oh, right, yeah, we've seen Fry's self-heating Bavarian cream dog. Ugh. Maybe that was based on the professor's electric Frankfurter prototype, I don't know.
Maybe.
You pit it and it's automatic. Well, I've seen people hook up a hot dog to like a arcing system, so you just arc it through the hot dog and it cooks it from the inside out.
Why?
Why not?
Just put it in a microwave or on a grill or something.
No, it must be faster.
They're doing it. They're doing it for the lulz. They're doing it because they try to cook it that way. It's like when you cook it with a magnifying glass in the sun.
Why would you do that either?
Again, just because it's fun to do it that way. Just you're bored and
it's
you do
ridiculous.
it like that.
It's for the sheer fact it's ridiculous that you do it.
Yeah, people are ridiculous. I don't know how else to end this, but people are ridiculous.
If only bureaucracy could be as efficient as Hermes.
Yeah. If only. That would definitely make things much easier.
Only 979 more years until we get Hermes.
Unfortunately, we'll all be long dead by that point.
That's what you think.
I'm still hoping for the singularity.
Ultimately, I really like this episode.
Yeah, it's really good.
Wait, you guys, you didn't listen to my song. Oh, I'm the...
Thank you for listening to Space Podcast 3000. Your three voices of the future are Nova Altman, Doug Hancox, and Eden Valerie. The theme music is Voxel Revolution by Kevin MacLeod. You can hear more episodes of Space Podcast 3000 on YouTube or at soundcloud.com/spacepod3k. You can support the show and listen to new episodes a full week early at patreon.com/spacepod3k. Follow us on Twitter at spacepod3k. Be sure to join us next time as the Planet Express crew discover a lost civilization in the Deep South.